Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and I want to start a new series here where I'm going to go through my original top 100 list that I did 21 years ago of board games of all time and talk about if I still like those board games, what I think about those board games today, and also kind of a way to see how my tastes have changed over 21 years. That happens to people. I'm 49 now. I was, 28 when I first made the list. I very much specifically remember I was invited to a convention in Malaysia, and they wanted me to do some panels. And I said, what do I do a panel on? And they said, how about your top 100 games? And I thought, top 100 games? Can I even? Well, yeah, I guess I played 100 games. And so on the plane trip to Malaysia, I sat there carefully writing out, changing, thinking of my favorite games. And I made a top 100 list, and I did it live in front of an audience there in KL, Malaysia. And people liked it, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll continue to do it. And in fact, the first time I did video on this channel, I did my top 100 games of all time, which was a video list I did there. So let's go back in time and see, as we take a look at these different games, today we're going to talk about 100 to 91 and just see where they are now. So first we have Catan, or back then it was called Settlers of Catan. It was 100. Now it's not even on the list. And in fact, if you can see here, my rating is a 5 out of 10. That's a pretty big drop. But I think for many people, and myself included, Catan is just one of those games that that there's no denying it's an amazing intro to the hobby. I've soured on it a bit, mostly because of the dice rolls. I am more inclined to play it with the expansions, the Seafarers expansion and the Cities and Knights and things like that. And in fact, I find it fascinating. I remember when this came out, I went and I bought it because everyone was talking about it. And then the expansions, I went and bought Seafarers and Cities and Knights and the 5 to 6 player expansion with each. Because I was so excited. And nowadays, I've definitely changed this whole idea of expansions for more players. No. And I still, even back then I was like, 5 to 6 is not that great. But this game is a milestone, and even though I'm not a big fan of it, it's fallen off my list, although it stayed on my list until it was still on there in 2012. So that's only, 14 years ago. It was still there at 92, hanging on. But no, it's kind of off the list at this point. Number 99 is Vabanque. Now, Vabanque was 99. This year, Vabanque was 59. So this is one that's been on the list, but it hasn't been on the list for a while. It fell off. It went down to 108, and then I just didn't have it on the list for a long time. And then I realized I was playing at more conventions, and this new version came out. This box here, this is the new version of Vabanque, and this is an older-looking version of Vabanque. Let me see if I can find the original box cover, because I think that the original box cover, there it is, this wasn't selling the game at all. But Vabanque is a game in which you are just not betting, but you're bluffing everyone else at the table. And the more I play this, I just played it actually last week as of me recording this, because I like the game that much. I think it's a lot of fun. Number 98, another Catan, Starfarers of Catan. So way back in the beginning, so this is called Starfarers of Catan. The new implementation of this is Catan Starfarers, which is kind of a cool looking box. The thing with Starfarers of Catan or Catan Starfarers is, in many ways, there's some awesomeness to it. The toy factor when this came out was immense. You see this picture here. These spaceships were just, look at these things. That was really cool. They had rocket boosters that went on in guns. These are slightly different than the original ones. And in fact, the original ones broke all the time. But I still thought it was a neat thing. They had little balls in the bottom, and you would shake them, and that would determine a random event that you would run into. You went around, and you had to discover things to build. It is a better game overall than Catan, but it's just too long. So again, this is one that's fallen off my list. In fact, it was off the list the following year, and it showed back up at 97, and then at one point it showed up at 259. Anyway, that's still a cool game, and you might find it worth your while. Number 97 is Mississippi Queen. So Mississippi Queen is a racing game, and once again, you're seeing the updated new cover of it. This game was actually a Spiel des Jahres winner, won the 1997 Spiel des Jahres, and so the game kind of looks like this. This is the back of the new box of it, but it is a riverboat race, which means it's a slow race, and you have coal, and you have a die, and you're trying to figure out how to turn to maneuver around these islands. You have these two little wheels on the sides of the boat. You're picking, here it shows kind of a picture. There's these bells that you need to go down the river and pick up. You need to stop and pick someone up and then keep going. And you're never quite sure how the river is going to twist and turn. So I liked it a lot. It immediately fell off my list and it's been gone. But for a while I was kind of charmed by it. It is a slower racing game. And nowadays I want my racing games to be faster. But I have a lot of fond memories of Mississippi Queen. The same thing with 96. I have a lot of fond memories of Fearsome Floors. In fact, this is one I would love to see a reprint of. This one also fell off my list and hasn't come back, but it is one I would gladly play today. Fearsome Floors has a board that doesn't look particularly well, but if you look at this is looking from above. You see all these stone pillars and you see blood spots. There's a monster chasing you. Now, the monster's not particularly scary. You have a group of people who have two numbers on each side. They're all going to move. That's it. You're moving these people on your turn. And then the monster will draw a tile, and it will move a certain amount. And if it ever sees someone, it will turn and start chasing them. But if someone's closer, it will turn and start chasing them. And if it catches you, it puts you back in prison until there's a halfway point in the game in which it catches you and you don't make it. But it's really silly. And you're trying to move. Sometimes you move close to the monster, so he sees you and he runs towards you, but then gets somebody else. So it's kind of programming. It's one of Friedman Fries's earlier works. And I like it a lot. Like I said, I'd like to see a newer reprint of it. But that was my 96. 95. Well, this is Dune. Now, this has been re-implemented by a newer-looking Dune. This is the new one here from Gale Force 9. This is the one that originally, this is 1979. The game is a year, or just a few years younger than me. Dune, designed by the same three people who made Cosmic Encounter, is a game that I had here as my 95, and then it was 94, 83, 99, then 116, and it kind of fell off the list. For the simple reason of, I just really don't have time for this game. And Dune is such a unique game. Dune is one from my childhood. I played it with friends when we were young. I just thought it was such a neat concept. I didn't know anything about the movies at that point in time. But the thing about Dune is there's so many cool features to it. Backstabbing and traitors and things like that. Special abilities. But the problem is if you look at Dune here, it says 60 to 180 minutes, which isn't quite true. It can often go to 6 hours. But the time is so wildly variable because you can win early in the game, but you can also have a game that goes all the way out to the full number of turns. So it's hard to say how long a game of this will last, but there's much applauding to be done. They remade it at some point. Let me see if I can find that. Yes, Rex Final Days of the Empire, which I thought was a pretty interesting game. It's set in the Twilight Imperium universe. The Dune is such an awesome theme that I think I'd rather play Dune, but nice components, and they streamlined the rules a bit. Anyway, that was my 95. 94 is Puerto Rico. This is one of the few that's still on my list. In fact, it just burst back on the list with the newest edition, up to number 30. But Puerto Rico has been on and off the list for a while. 94, 85, 54, 66. Then for a while, 89, 89, 65. It's been bouncing around. Last year it was at 146, but it's back on at 30. I've always enjoyed this game. It has flaws to some degree in the sense that you're picking an action and the next person follows, and that's a great thing. But if one person's new at a table of experienced players, not only are they going to probably lose, but they will make maybe the person to their left or right lose based on the actions that they choose. You have to be very cautious on that. And it's also very much in your face. Now, it has been here. It shows you that it's re-implemented by San Juan. I'm not gonna agree on that one. But just recently, let's see if it's as they had a separate version of it. Multiple versions that's come out. I have a 10th anniversary, but the special edition, Puerto Rico 1897 special edition, which is the one I just played. This one here, just a fantastic game. It has cool miniatures, but I don't care about the miniatures or the tiles are really great, but it's just so easy to set up and play and to put these buildings out and do really cool things with them. I love how it looks. It's fast and fun, and this is a game that I imagine I'll be playing for a while. In fact, this is another one that I played just last week. All right, 93 is Bootleggers, coming out in 2004. So just, the recency bias when this first came out. Bootleggers was on my list for 4 years. And no, I'm sorry. 93 was the only time it was on the list. It hovered in the hundreds for a while and it disappeared. This is another game. I believe I just did my top 10 games that will be reprinted. I like to say a reprint of Bootleggers. You have these little trucks that carried the little crates, that's the crates of the moonshine, and you would have guards, and you're trying to take over other people's crates and then deliver them to these speakeasies here. And there was just so much theme flowing through this game. When Bootleggers came out, it was definitely the type of game that people would say, oh, we have too many of these Euro, this is not a Euro-style game. They were kind of against games like this. People were so enamored with the new Euro games that this one kind of was looked down on. But I still like this one. I know they made a new version of it, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, but it was kind of the same thing. I would like to see this one completely overhauled. I don't know if that will ever happen. But yeah, it was my number 93. 92 fell off my list. Well, it was on my list for 3 years, then fell off. But I suspect there's a chance it will come back. And this is Lord of the Rings Confrontation. I'm showing you the newer version from Fantasy Flight. This is the original one, Lord of the Rings of Confrontation. This was in the Cosmos 2-player line. You may have heard of their games, Lost Cities, Balloon Cup. There's a lot of games. This one was more complex than most, but most people, and then Fantasy Flight remade it with more pieces. But what this is it's essentially Stratego for Lord of the Rings. But it's more than that. So this is the board. You'll see all these pieces here. You only have, 9 people on your side. The good side is trying to get Frodo to Mordor so he can throw the ring in. And the bad guys are trying to kill Frodo. The bad guys are much more powerful, but you move a piece, you reveal them, and you're both playing a card. And that's where all the strategy of this game comes in. Now, Christian Peterson, with his new company Ghost Galaxy, has made a very beautiful deluxe version of this, which I believe is coming out this year. And with that, and they've added some more characters and slightly tweaked it, I think. It doesn't need a lot of tweaking. We'll see. Does it have a chance to make my top 100 again? I don't know, but is there a chance I'm going to play it again? Yes! I'm very much interested in this one. So, my 92, where will it be next year? We'll find out. Now, back in the day when I was making these lists, I went to Barnes & Nobles and other stores and would just buy every party game I could see. And party games that did something different amused me. So here's one. My number 91 was Talkin Tango. That's right, I put Talkin Tango above Puerto Rico, Dune, and, and Catan. It is what it is. It's where it was at the time. It came off the list. It never really showed up again. It went down to the 200s, and I haven't even thought about this game probably in 10 years. Talkin Tango is a party game where each person alternates words. Like we're trying to give me and my friend are trying to give you a clue, and we go back and forth. You've seen this sort of thing on Whose Line Is It Anyway? And there are other party games that do similar things, alternating letters, alternating words. Talkin Tango was an early one to do it, and I was very amused by the subject. Really funky, weird art. This definitely has a look of a 90s party game. Although I believe this came out in 2000. So, yeah, just missed the 90s, but it has that look to it. So this is one I'm like, hey, this is just where I was 21 years ago. I don't know that I would play this as much nowadays. But, that's just a game that I liked. So there you go, folks. That's the first 10. I'll be making 9 more of these videos and talking more about games. Some games have made lasted the test of time, and 21 years later, they're still my favorites. And other ones give me very fond memories. Very few of these I'm going to look at and go, bleh. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed watching. I want to do a special shout out to some of you. I want to say thank you to Carlin Guo, Kurt Evans, Adrian the Grey Eminence of Adak, Sweden, Mark Steen from Melbourne, Australia, and Mark Kratzer. Thank you so much for supporting our GameFound project. We appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm Tom Vasel on the Dice Tower. Hey, thanks for watching another video here on the Dice Tower. We really appreciate you stopping by and checking our things out. Thanks so much for joining us today. And hey, if you really like what we're doing here at the Dice Tower, then there are different ways to support the Dice Tower. One of those ways is through Patreon. We have links in the description to this video. And we have links to lots of other things we do down there, so definitely check it out. But either way, we're glad you watched us. Tell your friends about the Dice Tower. Until next time, though, I'm Tom Vasel, and I hope you enjoyed this video.